Hello everyone, my name is Jennifer Moleski. This is my YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about death. So I'm going to start this off with saying I think there's two types of fantasies. There's the fantasies that you can build on your own. Like, I'm going to go get this, I'll make it simple. I'm going to go get a cup of water, and then I'm going to come back, I'm going to turn the TV on, and I'm going to watch this show or do this research or whatever it is. You know, like, you plan out in your head. There's a fantasy and you plan it out. And then there's the kind of fantasies where you're like, what in the, it was just inside my head. Like, ah! Sometimes they're horrifying or crazy or weird or something you're not interested in at all. It's like an implant. Boop, 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 boop. It's an implant of a fantasy. So this zippy! So this happened to me a couple years ago. I'd woken up in the morning and I was laying in bed. And before I got out of bed, I found myself in a fantasy. And I was dying, think of cancer, we'll say, on my deathbed in my room. And the people that I loved the most were around me. And I had like 2 minutes left before I was going to die. Because I imagine when you're dying, you know, like, it's coming soon. It's coming soon. So I was at that point. I had a couple minutes left. And the closer I got to cuckoo, it was time for me to die, the more I wanted to jump out of the fantasy. I didn't even want to go there in fantasy. But I made myself stay. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is, you know, there's been so many times where I thought about, I say this a lot, like, what is this YouTube channel? Because there's a lot of news commentating or opinion pieces or like what's going on out in the world. But as much as I think it's fun to talk shit on almost anything, I think it's way more important to know what's really important. And the only time in my life that I've gotten to that state of mind was through the Deathbed Meditation. Everything that I've ever heard of people who are dying, and they're like, listen, what's really important is family. What's really important isn't your job. I was like, yeah, okay. I mean, that sounds intellectually correct, but I didn't feel it. But when I did that meditation, it was... Have any of you ever read the book The Godfather? So most of us have seen the movie, but in the book, when the Godfather dies, you know, he's playing with his grandson out, and he's chasing him, and he has the orange in his mouth. He's like, oh! And he's chasing him around the tomato plants, and then he has a heart attack, and he falls on his knees, and in the book, he says, right before he dies, he says, life is beautiful. And then he dies. Because the moment before you die, and I can only say this because of that deep meditation that I accidentally went into the first time, the consciousness is stunning. So I like to think about politics, and I like to think about how I don't like feminism, and I like to think about how the world is fucked up, and I like to think about how the world is beautiful, but really, the most important thing for me, I found, is the fact that I'm conscious. What the fuck? There's no science on that. There's a guy, in my atheist versus Christianity debate, there's a guy that used to attend my meetup who's a militant atheist, and then there's my friend who's a Christian apologist. And the militant atheist is like, well, give me some proof as to, like, what God is or how there's a God. But when something is so grand, I don't even know if you can explain it. And I think consciousness is that. Is there a God? I don't know. But I know that here we are in the most spectacular gift possible. Now, if you're having a bad day or a bad life, if shit's not going your way, this might feel like a hefty cinch sack you're wearing, just a piece of trash. Life is a piece of trash. Then you're a nihilist, right? So then what's the point of nihilism? The end result is death. Okay, really? You want to do that? Okay, that's a personal choice. But if you don't want to just kill yourself because you're an actual nihilist, then there must be something that we're clawing onto with this existence, would be my guess. And for anyone who is upset or confused or lacking or has too much of an abundance of something, and you're okay, I'm going to go off on a different tangent here. This is what I do. There's a lot of people, false. There are people who have won the lottery who die or lose it all pretty quickly. And I've always said I never want to win the lottery because to me right now, life is about making money. And I don't mean like that's all I'm doing, but if I were to remove that big thing, like the reason I have to wrap this up in 3 hours with editing is because I have to go to work. Well, if you take that away, then I would like have a like an animal farm, and I would help all the animals. And okay, and I would travel, and I'd go on the beach. Yeah, everyone has this grand plan if they didn't have to worry about money. But I'll tell you what, I've done traveling before, 4-month stints, and after a while, you're like, oh my God, I just need to contribute to the world, and that might be having an animal farm. It might be, but unless you take that veil away not the veil, unless you take the purpose away to make money. Actually, like if you really don't have to worry anymore, then what's left? And to me, that's startling if it wasn't something that I earned. On the other hand, you find people, particularly famous people, who kill themselves or destroy themselves because they have an overabundance of something that they were sold would make them happy. Okay, I'm beautiful and I'm fit and I can bang anybody, and I have tons of money and a great house. And then they kill themselves because there's an overabundance. So for me, deathbed meditations, which happened once for me, on accident with that accidental fantasy, I started practicing. So I'd be like, okay, how are you going to die today? I've been in a car accident and thrown from a car. I've had cancer numerous times. I think a mountain lion got me. and they all suck. But it's like a vampire. And in that meditation, you can suck all of the actual meaning out of life. You can understand. It's a great filtration system. Okay. So today or tomorrow or this week or this month, something is going to die for all of us. And I don't mean like our mom's going to die. I mean, something will die. And I think this is if people don't want to think about death, like the grand death, they certainly don't want to think about the other things that could die. So what is that? That's ideology, a way of thinking. God can die for some of us. Atheism can die for some of us. Spirituality, a secret. You can share a secret with someone and that secret can die. A friendship can end, a relationship can end. Sometimes sadness dies. Sometimes loneliness dies. And to me, I think a lot of people hold on to even the negative things that they equate their identity with. So let's say that you are sad and lonely, and you've been sad and lonely for a long time. And then your thinking starts to change. I don't know why. Maybe your appearance changes, or maybe your friendliness goes up. So life starts to reshape a little bit, and you start to find that you're not quite as lonely and sad as you were 6 months ago. And I think for a lot of people that can freak them out, because to shed that part of their identity freaks them out. So they don't want that to die. They hate it, but they don't want it to die. It's the same thing with fat. I know some people that are very overweight, and they'll shed like 10, 20 pounds, and then they'll give up. Why? You're on the right track, but to shed the 100 pounds is, even though they don't like it, to lose it would rattle them. So, viewers, is there anything in your life that wants to die, but you're holding on to? And if so, how do you find it? Try, if you are bored, try my deathbed meditation. Just sit there and fucking die. and see how that feels. You want to see Zipper? Oh, she's a cat lady. I know I'm a Mississippi. I'm a Mississippi lady. Here, no, I know. I know you're so sad. But come here. Let me. You're going to die one day. Mom, I don't even think about that. I know. This is Mississippi. So that's it today. Deathbed meditation is called Maranasati, and that is the Buddhist practice of practicing death or being aware of it. And I read somewhere in my research, which I'm so bad at, like, telling you where I found it, but the whole point, like, nothing better can be gained by the development of friendliness and the recollection of death. Mastering how to become friendly and realizing you're gonna die. So that's it today. I'll be doing commenting on comments tomorrow. So if you try this, if you have tried it, or if you did try it from watching this, I'd love to hear if you got to the final stage. You know, I mean, like, you're obviously, the meditation ends after you perceive that you're dead, but I'm just curious. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in again. Or if this is your first time, you can subscribe and hang out and listen to all the weird videos that I have. Okay, thank you. Have a good day.